quick's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tam to Stinson all the way to M.A. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. The Dennis, Dylan, and NW.
Welcome to the Run TMC podcast. That is the Run, the Marin County podcast, a podcast about basketball in Marin County, and also, as in today's episode, basketball across the country and even across the world. I am Duffy Ballard, and with me, as always, or at least the vast majority of the time, is friend and co-host David Levine. Good day.
Around the world, really. We're going global.
We have gone global. Basketball is in the process of saving the world, along with tariffs. You know, like they make a pretty strong 1-2 punch.
It didn't take us long to get to tariffs.
No, it did not. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back to the episode with David Hollander, season 2 episode.
It was something.
Yeah,
early ones.
Early season 2.
He was awesome. David Hollander was great. How basketball can save the world. By the way, great follow on Instagram and the socials. He's always having really cool guests come and speak to his class at NYU. He's traveling around the world promoting basketball as a way to form bonds. Great guy. Really, really lucky to have him on our podcast. So, Duffy, nice to see you. It's been a fun week. You can hear my voice. I coached this weekend in a tournament in Oakland, and it had been a while since I had been roaming the sidelines, and I have lost my voice.
How many games, Dave? How many games did you coach?
4 games in 2 days. I coached a team for NBBA, a girls' high school team, and it was awesome. We had a great time. Went 1-3, but we competed in all the games, and it was a great example of why these club basketball tournaments, these AAU tournaments, they can be chaotic, they can be frustrating at times, but when it gets down to it, just seeing the kids compete and get put in situations where they have to make decisions and time and score late in the game. We had a bunch of close games, and a couple times we, made the plays we needed to and got the win. A couple times we fell short, but great learning experience.
And the frogginess in your voice, is that from some firm instruction to your officials or to your players, or a little bit of both?
So I have a policy in these club basketball games. I say nothing to the officials.
Smart. Not even thank you?
Oh, I say thank you. I give them fist bumps, but I do no commentary to the officials. Duffy, I think the words that my throat is tired of saying, the words are ball fakes! ! My team was struggling with ball fakes, a lot of deflections against us.
Okay.
That was frustrating, but that's okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So Holden also had the club scene this past weekend. He was in Memphis for a tournament there. For those in the attendance office at Archie Williams, please give me some earmuffs. But Holden had to take off Thursday from school to get on a flight. It was his first time flying on his own. He flew through Houston, and there was pretty excessive delay. He arrived late Thursday, and the plan was to play the first of 4 games on Friday. Mm-hmm. But Friday morning, they changed the schedule. So he did not have a game Friday. There was rain in Memphis. He was going to tour the campus of Memphis University, but that got canceled. So I don't know what they did all day Friday when he was missing school, not playing basketball, other than they went to a barbecue place called Corky's. And then furthermore, his roommate for the trip, his friend Alex Gadiel, also at Archie, poor guy, got the flu.
Oh no.
And he was pretty much in his room for the first 24 hours. Did not end up playing in any of the games. So went to Memphis to be sick and fly home without any playing time.
So little foreshadowing for our conversation today, which was an awesome interview. We discuss one James Wiseman in passing.
We do, yes.
Who graced the University of Memphis with his presence for a short, fleeting amount of time.
A brief stint.
How
yes.
long was Wiseman there? How many games did he play? He
was
played
it
3
2
games?
or 3 games?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Just enough volume of film for the Warriors to make a really poor decision.
Hey, you win some, you lose some. So we have a very interesting discussion today, which we'll get to with our guest Charles Hoeveler. But before we get into it, let's, Duff, take 30 seconds and acknowledge our Warriors made it past the first round.
They did, and I believe it was 7 turnovers last night, and between that and some very timely shooting from Buddy Hield, and I love the fact that he took that last one, even though the game was salted away. He hit that number 9 and right on Van Vliet. But ball fakes, and in particular Steph with the little extra fake when he's getting doubled to get it to Draymond, and Draymond ball fake, and then boom, Buddy Hield wide open 3.
And Duffy, how much I love zones. But I will say, begrudgingly, the zone, I think, got the Warriors that win. I mean, their defense, obviously Houston utilized the zone really effectively as well.
Right.
It was a defensive battle, but the Warriors going into that zone neutralized Houston. Houston's shooting very poor from the field. Obviously, Houston's strength is getting the ball inside, getting paint touches, scoring inside, and the zone cut off a lot of those gaps. Now with the zone, obviously the risk is you give up rebounds. Houston out-rebounded us, I assume, by a lot. I was looking mid-game, they were out-rebounding us like something 45-28 or something at some point. But the Warriors, first of all, the three-point shooting was great, but Houston just didn't get many open looks.
Yeah, and like Sengun, somehow he was getting his shots from the short corner rather. He got some in the middle of the paint. He was still good, but the zone, he ended up not in his spot. And I think at the end of the game, we were talking about this earlier today, Dave. Like the Warriors' best players got to their spots on the floor. Curry, dribbled at the double team, got around Adams, and got to the rim. Or he got to the three-point line, and then Jimmy Butler got to his spot on the floor, very patient, mid-post game, up and good. So
there are more astute, educated watchers of NBA basketball than you or I, Duff. But
a handful.
A handful, we'll say. But it's interesting to see in almost every NBA possession now, particularly late in the game, teams go high pick and roll, and the idea it's a big little pick and roll because they want to force the switch, right? So last night, late in the game, Steph had Adams on him on a switch. I think it was Steph Draymond pick and roll. Houston switched, and now Steph's got Adams on him. And I even said to the people we were with watching the game, I just said he's got to go by him, and he just blew by him and got it to the rim. And that's a kind of mistake that I was shocked that Houston would let that happen.
I agree. Earlier it seemed like rather than switch, Adams onto Steph, they were running to it.
They would just blitz it.
They blitz it, but Steph was outrunning Adams on the corner a couple times.
Right.
And what he was doing this game that he didn't do in Game 6 was he wasn't settling for that long three. He was just getting to the paint, especially in the second half.
Yep.
And then putting pressure on the defense. Which is what Pajensky should have been doing, but instead Podge was just dribbling the ball for about 14 seconds at a time. Inexplicably, they were running the offense through him, I guess, because Sengun was guarding him. I don't understand why they were letting him initiate, because he was initiating nothing. It was nothingness.
Well, our friend Jonas Honeck kept texting us, like, I'm shocked that they're facilitating the offense through pods.
Well, that was what I was saying, Dave.
And, was that you?
Yeah. But Jonas is smart too. Jonas was saying all sorts of smart things.
Jonas has said similar things.
Yeah.
But anyway, fun time. Good job, Warriors. Tough series ahead with Minnesota. Minnesota's got some size on them, but I don't know if Minnesota can use that size effectively because the Warriors will be much quicker with Gobert on the floor. So we shall see.
They might zone us. They might follow the Houston playbook because Houston was plus a lot with the two bigs in. I can see Randall and Gobert being in a lot against the Warriors and us having a lot of trouble rebounding.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
Absolutely. So why don't we do a quick sponsor shout out, and then we'll go glossary and dime, and then we'll get to the interview. How's that for a plan?
That sounds good.
So why don't you talk about our sponsor situation?
So Encore Custom, they are located on 4th Street, 891 4th Street. They have a lovely storefront there with a lot of great clothing material. They have all sorts of activewear, really soft, sleek bamboo gear, bamboo hoodies, the whole gamut of athletic/leisure wear. And they also have a really cool website. If you go to our website, Dave, you will now find that all of the Encore Custom specs are up there. You can take a look. You can order online. You can get jerseys for your team. You could get some T-shirts made for, say for example, a bachelor party. You can, just go in and visit our friend Neil Butterfield and say hello and ask him how the lacrosse season went for Redwood. So we really appreciate Encore Custom as our platinum sponsor, and we are working with them and should have our pop-up Run TMC store ready to go within the next 1 to 2 episodes.
So our website, www.theruntmcpodcast.com, or in honor of our friend Heather Sager, theruntmcpodcast.com.
The Run McPodcast. Thank you, Angela Ballard.
Yes, thank you, Angela. And Neil, sadly, Redwood boys lacrosse lost in the MCAL championship to rival Marin Catholic. Marin Catholic, shout out, both boys and girls win the MCAL title in lacrosse.
Lots of winning.
Nice job. All right. Thank you, Neil. We love Encore Custom. We're really psyched about that new relationship. Duffy, why don't you hit your dime?
Okay. Before we dime it up, Dave, just quick announcements for those who may not have heard. Kevin Vasquez, friend of the podcast, previous guest on the podcast, previous teammate of mine in the over 40 league from years ago. He is the new boys coach at Marin Catholic, and he is a great choice, and we wish him well. It is his life's dream to be a basketball coach at the high school level, and he told me he wants to be at MC for 20 years. And so that is really cool. Good for him and good for Marin Catholic. And then at Archie Williams, this news just breaking today, former guest on the podcast and friend of the podcast, Mikey Claggett, has the job at Archie Williams. And so congratulations to Mikey Claggett. And he's got a talented roster coming back for next season.
And on the girls' side, our friend Caden Korst has been named the head coach at Branson.
We didn't cover that yet?
No. And one common theme, Duffy, if you notice, all of these coaching vacancies have been filled by former guests of the Run TMC podcast.
That's beautiful. And are we ready to announce? We're not ready. Okay.
No.
Stay tuned.
Nothing else to announce.
Right. Okay. Nothing else to announce just yet.
Yeah.
All right. So I had a dime from last episode, which I was going to, it's a podcast, Dave.
Yeah.
And I was going to put it in this episode. But then, because of the topic of this episode, which is NIL and transfer portal, I'm switching it up, and I'm going to give a different dime, which is also a podcast, and it's a podcast by friend of the podcast and former guest and pretty close relation to mine, Chris Ballard, and it's called Out of Bounds. And this is a 6-series podcast that is actually all about NIL, and it is done, it is probably, I would say, slightly better researched than our podcast on NIL. Mm-hmm. It is a little bit greater breadth, and the production value might be slightly better. But other than that, it's a lot of what we talk about with our friend Charles Hoeveler, that gives the background for how we ended up where we are today with NIL. It gives both sort of the legal story behind it, and then it also features a number of athletes, both athletes from the past and the present. The past athletes who missed out on NIL, like Jeremy Bloom, the famous football player from Colorado, who whose jersey sold and made millions of dollars for Colorado, and he didn't see a cent of that. And then athletes of today's age who are cashing in big time. So it's on Audible. You do have to subscribe to Audible, but you can get 1 month for free, and then you get all the other podcasts and books on Audible. There's a great selection. So anyway, Out of Bounds, Chris Ballard, Peter McDonald, and Spencer Gordon. This was funded by a group that included some NBA players, including Chris Webber. So really, really good. It's from 2022, so dated, a few years dated, but still a very good listen. Out of Bounds.
Thank you, Duff. And I've got a good glossary item for our next episode. I'm going to research it a little bit more.
Okay.
It's going to be exciting.
It's Hint. The Joker.
Foreshadowing.
Freddy Krueger.
That's right. I like that. I like what you did there. Okay, let's get into this interview. We discussed with Charles Hoeveler a bit of his background at the start of the interview, but I'll just provide a bit more context here. So Charles is a good friend of ours. We play basketball with him. He's a phenomenal athlete. Went to Branson with me. We were on the same team back in the 90s playing for Jonas Honeck, and Charles was a elite basketball player. I mean, could have played college ball for sure, probably at the D1 level if he wanted to, certainly D2. Really good shooter, really active, tough, competitive guy, but his first love and kind of started his athletic career was tennis. And so he went on to win 4 national titles with the Stanford tennis team. He was a year behind me at Stanford. But beyond that, we talk about that a lot in this interview. Beyond that, he's had a very successful career in finance. He started a hedge fund called Norwood Capital. Very, tough to start your own fund, and he did it and has had a really great run at it. He also, Duffy, is a minority owner of the Sacramento Kings, so he has a very small piece of the Kings. But so his perspective on sports and business, it's a really interesting cross-section because he's passionate about sports, clearly. He also is a very educated person in terms of finance, business. And so his perspective on NIL and the state of college athletics I thought was really interesting. And he has some good arguments that he makes in this interview. I thought it was a very fun discussion. I would encourage our listeners, if you have opinions on this stuff, send us an email, record a voice memo on your phone and shoot it to us. We'll listen to it. We'll incorporate it because this is a topic that I think is still going to be debated a lot going forward. There are going to be a number of changes to the way college athletics work going forward in terms of compensating players and how schools handle it. It's in flux, and so we think it's a topical, interesting debate.
Yeah, so Charles is an amazing guy and an amazing competitor and athlete. So he's played with us on our over 35 league teams that just recently, unfortunately, went away. But just amazed at his intensity, his activity, his understanding of the game. And I will say, Dave, that at least once, maybe twice, he's told me that basketball is his true love as a sport. Because tennis, although it is the sport he is better at and has achieved more, it is something that causes him more pressure than the game of basketball. So hopefully I didn't just put words into Chuck's mouth there. But anyway, so once again, basketball wins is my message here, even though some might say, why are you doing a tennis podcast? No, this is still a basketball podcast, Dave. And I do want to mention we've been thinking about having Charles on the podcast for a while.
Yeah.
And we had, as we discussed in our interview here, we were having dinner. We just got into like a discussion about NIL. Charles had very strong opinions, backed up at least partially by facts. And so we said, well, let's turn this into a podcast. And it was great.
Absolutely. And before we get to it, we got to hit player control fouls. I had several. I got in a lot of foul trouble in this discussion, Duffy. First of all, I mentioned in passing that you went to Middlebury. You went to Haverford. I can't believe I made that mistake. Shout out to my friend Rich Price, who's a Middlebury guy.
Jason Dimmick, Christy Dimmick.
NIL was not an act of Congress. It was an NCAA ruling. How dare I? And then you had one as well.
Well, first of all, I learned for the first time that our friend Charles does not like to be called Chuck. Apparently Chuck was a nickname given to him by Coach Honeck. And so he told us this, and yet despite that, despite having just heard that, I believe I called him Chuck twice during the interview, and I quickly correct. And then...
LLJ attorney.
Yes, and then so from our episode 22, two things real quickly. So we talked about the LLJ tournament, June 21st at Terra Linda. Sign-ups are still available from what I've heard. The proceeds from that go to a scholarship, not to the family. Just want to be real clear on that. And we also, in that episode, had a moment of silence for the victims of that horrible car crash in Woodacre, and AI took it out, unbeknownst to us.
The wonders of AI.
Yes, so we apologize for that. But we did actually have a fairly long moment of silence when we were recording that.
We did.
And we still are thinking about those girls all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thanks, Duff. Hope everybody enjoys this discussion with Charles Hoeveler, and looking forward to more episodes to come.
Absolutely.
Duffy, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Dave, and nice to see you, Charles.
We're here with Charles Hoeveler. Charles, welcome to your office.
Thank you.
We are in the Norwood Capitol offices, Charles. We're going to get to that. Honored to have our friend Charles Hoeveler. Charles and I went to Branson together. Charles was a star basketball player at Branson, one of the best ever in Branson history. Also an incredible tennis player. He went on to Duffy. He went to a small college in Palo Alto called Stanford University. You've seen pictures.
It's becoming irrelevant, but I think I heard at one point in time it was a pretty prestigious institution, especially in the realm of athletics.
At one point, the Halcyon days. And Charles was a tennis player who played for Stanford and won a national title. He's holding up 4 fingers. You won 4 national titles?
Team, not individual. Team.
The team, every year you were there, they won a national title?
Yes.
See that math? That was Stanford math that I just did. Do you have 4 rings?
You were there for 3 of them.
I was hanging on your every point, Charles.
Glad you were at all those big matches, Dave. Thanks for coming.
I was busy. I was busy chasing around women's basketball players on the court. Okay, so he has 4 national titles. Sorry about that, Charles.
And were you undefeated your senior year?
As a team, we were undefeated my freshman year and my senior year. In fact, my senior year, we lost 2 singles matches the entire year. So college tennis matches, you play 6 singles and 3 doubles. You play 32 matches on average if you win the title. So in 32 matches times 6 singles matches, that's 192 matches, we lost 2. The doubles, you play 3 matches to get 1 point. So you got to win 2 out of 3.
Okay.
So we lost 1 doubles point and 2 singles matches the entire year.
Did you lose any of those points?
Thank God, no.
Okay.
I played third doubles that year and was not in the singles lineup except for 4 or 5 matches. So there were fewer opportunities for me to blow it.
So Charles, if you can't tell, Charles is competitive. We played, as I mentioned, we played high school basketball together. We played for Jonas Honeck. We had some great teams. Charles's brother, Justin, fantastic basketball player as well. His dad, Charlie, legendary tennis player.
57 national senior titles.
57 national senior titles. And Charles, you yourself, after college, you've had a very successful career in finance. You have a hedge fund. We could talk about that. But you've also been a competitor on the tennis circuit. Is it the Masters circuit? What do we call it?
ITF World Masters. So yeah, at 47 years old, I started playing senior tennis tournaments again, and was on the USA team in 2022 and 2023. Went to Lisbon, Portugal, and Turkey.
So Charles is an athlete, and
Dave.
Yes.
More importantly, what other recent last decade achievements does Chuck have? Charles.
I was going to say.
I was getting there.
Yeah.
That pales in comparison.
The greatest achievement of Charles's athletic life is the title in the over 35 men's basketball league.
More than one, Dave.
Several titles on our team, LFG. Charles was a key contributor to those.
And he came up with the name, LFG.
He did, LFG?
Yeah.
Yes, very true. So why is Charles with us? We love Charles. He's a well-traveled, incredible Renaissance man, but Charles also has strong opinions. And that's what we want in this podcast. So we've spent a lot of time discussing athletics, particularly high school athletics and college athletics, and something that we keep coming back to is the changing complexion of college sports with NIL, name, image, likeness, which we'll get into, the transfer portal, and how it's even impacting some of our friends from Marin, right? Jace Butler, we just talked about this. He's went to University of Washington his freshman year. Now he's hit the transfer portal. He's going to Colorado State. I'd be surprised if we didn't see more Marin kids hitting the transfer portal. Charles has opinions about NIL, and we were having dinner a couple weeks ago, and Duffy and I both thought we should have Charles on to discuss this topic because it's very pertinent. In fact, there was another podcast I was just listening to a couple days ago. Some guy's a basketball guy out of Nebraska, and he had a whole episode about NIL as well. So I think this is a interesting moment in time because we're seeing the whole complexion of college athletics change. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Charles, your view is it's a good thing. Is that fair?
In one bullet point, I'd say yes. It's to me a massive improvement over the old system, which is how we got into this in the beginning. And so the history is, to me at least, and you guys can help refine this view, but you had the Pony Express in the 80s, right? These were a bunch of oil magnates in Dallas that just said, all right, let's put together the greatest professional, not professional college football team we can possibly find.
SMU.
And we're going to get Eric Dickerson, arguably one of the great running backs ever.
Yep.
Craig James.
Yep.
Oddly, also a running back. I don't know why they went with 2 running backs. Might have wanted to diversify, but hey, whatever.
Sure.
And they got busted because they were paying these guys.
Yep.
And the reason they got busted is these guys were driving Corvettes or whatever in college.
Right.
So what is going on here? These are student athletes and not professionals. And they got the death penalty. And I remember this very well. It was in the mid-'80s, and I was following the story. I was a sports nut, reading the Sporting Green every morning and doing all that stuff. And I was really intrigued by this, both from a kind of a finance perspective, because that was another passion of mine
at
a young age, and a sports perspective. And fast forward, and what I said to you guys at dinner was, to me, the last of the Mohicans was Tim Duncan in 1997 at Wake Forest. 4-year guy. Could have been the number 1 pick at any time in his college career. And just stuck it out, wanted to win a title. And after that, it's the last one I can remember who was a truly elite lottery pick, number 1 pick in the draft.
Won all 4 years. All
4 years yes, Duffy.
LeBron James played 4 years of high school.
Duffy always adding value, Charles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure he would have been the number 1 pick as a freshman, but he probably should have been.
Probably could have been. Yeah.
Fair point. And then after that, you saw the whole landscape shift. So,
yes.
For example, I remember North Carolina, Dave, I think I was a junior, you might have been a senior. They played the Fab Five.
Yeah.
And Weber and Jalen Rose. And those guys, I think, played 2 years, right?
Yes.
And then
University of Michigan.
I don't remember what the rules were around Rasheed Wallace and Jerry Stackhouse in North Carolina, but those guys didn't stay 4 years. So to me, the system was really, really, really broken. And University of Illinois in the 80s too.
Sure. Kendall Gill.
Kenny Battle. Ken Norman.
Steve Bardo. Yep.
Yes,
those
exactly.
Teams. Right.
And Lou Henson, everyone knew. Like, you just read Bobby Knight's book, Season on the Brink. And he was like, look, we know what's happening at Illinois, right?
Yep.
So it was a broken system because you had these elite athletes who were going to college. Some were getting paid under the table. Some people were getting caught. Some people were not. The shoe companies involved. The coaches were making a lot of money. The kids are going out there. And in a capitalist world, this didn't make sense at all. And meanwhile, you have the NCAA, all right, in my opinion, I have strong opinions, one of the most hypocritical organizations of all time.
Not a sponsor. We are not sponsored by the NCAA. But NCAA, call us and we can take this down immediately. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, these guys are sitting there in Kansas City, all right,
Yeah.
with a great living, making arbitrary rules on kids that are trying to do the best they can to get a better life for themselves in a totally unfair system. And so the concept of NILs makes all the sense in the world to me, because these kids, 17, 18 to 22-year-olds, have incredible value. Look at the University of Alabama football team as a great example.
Yeah.
Okay? And the amount of money
Sure.
that those kids generate for the school,
For the community.
for the NCAA,
Yeah.
okay, for the coach or coaching staff,
Yeah.
but the head coach especially, all right, for the boosters, all right, culture,
Yep.
pride, for the entire brand of the school. And for so long, these kids are getting paid zero. They're getting a scholarship where, Dave, I don't know, you probably had the same experience I did. The athletes, the football, baseball, basketball athletes, tennis guys went to school, went to class. We were actual student athletes.
Yes.
Very proud of that. I wish I was good enough to get paid. I wasn't.
Me neither, buddy.
But the football and basketball team are on a completely different academic program than everybody else. And to me, the system was set up to keep these kids eligible, arguably not teach them very much, especially in football, where the University of Alabama team goes out there and for too long, we're not getting paid, get concussions, tear their ACLs.
Right.
98 or 99% of college athletes do not go professional, make zero money from their athletic career. And meanwhile, everyone is getting paid except for the people who are creating the most value in the system. And it's a lot of value, and it's a total mismatch, and created all kinds of inequities and loopholes and cheating.
Well, it was also kind of a farce because you'd have kids go one and done, right? So the rules would change. Before NIL, there were rules about, all right, the NBA and the NFL had an age restriction, right? So you couldn't go pro until you were a certain age. And that age was usually older than the typical high school senior. Baseball never had that, right? Baseball, you could go and be pro right out of high school. And a lot of the best baseball players would actually not go to college. They would get drafted right out of high school and go to the minor leagues and then go to the pros. But basketball and football had age restrictions. So you had players like, look at Kyrie Irving as an example, right? Kyrie Irving went to Duke. I use went loosely. He spent, how many months do you think Kyrie Irving was on campus?
He lived in Durham.
He lived in Durham, I think probably 4 months.
Okay.
Right? He probably got to campus in, like, let's say he got to campus in August.
Sure.
The season's over, all right, sorry, so 6 months. Season's over in February or March. Well, it's Duke, so probably March. And right then, he's not going to any more classes. He's training for the draft.
Nor should he.
Right.
He's not an amateur athlete.
And by the way, he was hurt at Duke. So he probably played, I don't have it in front of me, but he probably played 20 games in his Duke career.
I think he
Another
played.
example for you. Remember former number 2 pick, much hyped by the Golden State Warriors. This gentleman went to Memphis and I believe played in 1 or 2 games. And then got shut down, and I believe left school altogether, or if he was still enrolled, he was not actively enrolled as a student athlete. And so it was very much just token, NBA says I have to do this, and now I can be drafted.
Probably the greatest thing that happened to him was getting made ineligible by the NCAA because he didn't play enough for people to realize he couldn't play.
Yeah.
That's another, we could do a Wiseman episode later.
Yeah.
But so this old system that you're talking about, Charles, agree, tons of revenue being generated on the backs of these players who weren't seeing any of it themselves. Technically, I mean, realistically though, they were seeing some of it, but it was under the table. Some of them got busted. Some schools got busted, but it was just this charade, right?
The key to success was not getting caught.
Right.
So to me, that's almost a definition of a broken system. Like the people who did the best were the ones who were cheating and didn't get caught. Now, I think that's pretty broken.
Right, and you see teams like, Jerry Tarkanian's UNLV team, and those guys all now, like Larry Johnson, and everybody's like, yeah, of course we were getting paid.
Yes.
Right. So that all was happening. We should say, for our listeners who maybe don't know what NIL is name, image, and likeness. A couple years ago, it was approved by Congress that now basically college athletes can be compensated for the use of their name, image, or likeness.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that it's, to date, the way that it's been utilized is colleges are not directly involved. We're going to get to the revenue sharing thing, but colleges are not directly involved with it, but what they do is they have boosters, alums, supporters who raise money through what are called collectives. Mm-hmm. So just think about fundraising for, any kind of college. They go to the alums, they pass the hat around, they get a bunch of money, and they use that money to compensate athletes who come to their school. And it's technically cannot be quote unquote pay to play. So you can't just compensate the student athlete for just being there. They have to do something, but what they can do is advertise a product,
sign some jerseys.
Sign
there has to be a
autographs.
Service rendered.
There has to be a service.
Technically.
Right. But and NIL has now exploded, coupled with the transfer portal, right? And so the other difference between now and the old system, which I assume you are in favor of the way it works now, is it used to be if you wanted to transfer schools, you could do it, but you had to sit out an entire year. That restriction is gone. So now, at the end of the season, every season, football and basketball, I think you have 30 days. The transfer portal opens at the end of the season. For basketball, it opened even while the NCAA tournament was going on, which was crazy, right? Mm-hmm. It was like Final Four week. And the portal just closed, but now you have thousands of kids in the transfer portal, and they can transfer to other schools, and they don't have to sit out. So it's the term the Wild West has been thrown around.
Well, how about free market?
That's another way to look at it.
I mean, if we operate on the assumption that these aren't actually amateur athletes, if you're good enough to get paid, to me, by definition, you are a professional, okay? So why is this system worse than the other one? This seems like a free market where I have a lot of value because I'm really good at what I do. And it shouldn't matter if I'm 18 years old, 12 years old, or 30 years old. If there's value in what I do, then I should go to the place that values it the highest.
So the downside is, as a fan of college athletics.
I thought that was a pretty good segue.
That was really good. Way to go, Charles.
Well, so Dave, we should say we agree. I think you and I and other sort of critics of NIL agree that the prior system was not perfect, and there was a lack of fairness to athletes in particular. Many athletes were being abused and maybe had injuries that came out of college with a scholarship that perhaps didn't end up with a degree, and they had a lifelong injury, and there were many, probably too many to count, that got
As soon as that kid got hurt, he was useless. He or she was useless to the school.
Right.
And the boosters and everything else.
So let's agree on that. But now let's ask the question of, okay, well, we have a new system. It's completely different. It does solve inequities of the prior system, but it has brought up some new, I don't know if I call them inequities, but some challenges both for the student athlete, but also for the coach and for the fan, and also ultimately probably for the student athlete on the backside of their college degree, where they go from being paid $250K a year, whatever it is, to having nothing. And if they don't manage their money well through that 4 years, they could end up.
So this is the issue, and so one argument would be, okay, we all benefited greatly from our college experience, right? We had an amazing experience. We each, Duff, Middlebury, Charles, you and I. I'm sorry, Haverford. How could I do that?
That's your second player control, Dave, because I got to correct you right now. NIL was not an act of Congress.
Oh, wasn't?
Nope. NCAA, under pressure from state legislatures.
Oh, the revenue sharing was an act of Congress.
Yes.
I'm just screwing this up. Anyway.
Charles, you should just take over.
Yeah. So we each had great college experiences. We learned a lot. We got degrees. So the argument is, okay, these kids today, they're not getting that because you've got, a kid goes for a year. Let's look at Andrei Stojakovic. Freshman year, Stanford. His transfer portal. Sophomore year.
This is a great example. It looks like he's going back to Stanford.
Cal. No, he's going to Illinois.
Oh, really?
He
Okay.
just announced he's going to Illinois.
That was today?
But Stanford was a couple days ago. But Stanford was one of his finalists.
Yeah.
But so I forget if he did 1 or 2 years at Stanford. Then he goes to Cal.
1 year.
1 year. Okay, 1 year at Stanford, 1 year at Cal. Now he's going to Illinois. So is he making lasting friendships in college? Is he building bonds with his local?
Did Kyrie Irving make lasting bonds in college?
Totally. So that's the way I think you have to look at it, and I agree with you. Is that
Tim Duncan was the last of those guys.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan made lasting bonds in college.
and
right?
going way back, athletes in your sport, in tennis, if you were an amazing tennis player way back in the day, often you didn't even go to college. Rafael Nadal didn't go to college, right?
That was so unique about my time at Stanford is the best kids in the country were going to college, whereas now they don't.
Right.
The whole system has changed in that regard, but it doesn't really relate to NILs. I mean, it's just I don't think that the kids who were good enough to get paid weren't the ones who were in college making lasting bonds. I look at it as a bifurcated world. There's a really awesome world of real student athletes, okay,
Yeah.
who get scholarships or don't, but go to school with the idea I'm going to study, I'm going to make great friends, I'm going to set myself up for the future, and I'm going to play a sport. I'm going to do all of that, okay?
Yeah.
And that's the vast majority of college athletics, and it's amazing and it's awesome. And just the fact that you can bifurcate that whole world from used to be the quasi-professional world, which is now the actual professional world in
Right.
the NCAA, is very healthy to me. It's just a natural decoupling of those two worlds.
So is the product of college athletics then, as a fan of let's say take away you're a fan of the school that you went to, and you're just a fan of watching college sports. Is it better or worse with this system?
Well, okay, so what systems are we comparing at this point?
The NIL, so the system where now every good player is going to be at a school maximum 1 year, because they will either go pro, like Cooper Flag, or they will transfer. They will hit the transfer portal. It becomes a free market system. If you're a good player, I don't see why you wouldn't hit the transfer portal, bid up it's like, why not see what the market will bear? If you don't like it, okay, chances are your school will take you back.
Jerry Seinfeld had a great line about professional sports, which is you're basically rooting for laundry. Okay? That's professional sports.
Totally, because the players change, but you're rooting for the same. Yeah.
Okay? If you're going to have athletes in the NCAA who are good enough to get paid, okay, we're clearly in a different paradigm than amateur athletics.
Yeah.
So is it better or worse? Well, at least when you root for the laundry in the NCAA now, we're being honest about it and paying the kids that are in the system because they have to be, and they are getting some part of the value pie that they're creating. All right? You're still rooting for laundry.
But should they just all go pro right away?
Well,
Like why even have them go to college in the first place?
Well, I mean, if you made me the czar of the sports world in the United States, I'd have a completely different system here, okay? But
Yeah.
that's a difficult one to crack. There's a lot of interest and
Yeah.
a lot of inertia to overcome there. My argument is basically we're getting pretty close with
It
NILs.
seems like that's where it's going, right? But
Look, you see like Dyson Daniels goes to
Yep.
Australia, okay? And Jalen Green goes to G League, and Amen Thompson really great player, goes to the G League. Like, we're slowly figuring it out, and that's really healthy to me. Those guys are so good, they should not be in college. Cooper Flagg goes to Duke. I mean, the healthiest thing to me is that if you really care about your sport, whether it's Duke basketball or Stanford tennis or whatever it is, it's almost community level, okay? Like, we really care about this. The system is what it is. We can't change the system. Let's just operate within the system to the benefit of everybody, and everyone has a great experience. And that's what I think is so healthy about this. You can get it down to the community level, and if you have enough people that really care about it, then you can create a collective and go get really good players, and they get compensated for what they do. And we feel great about this because we did this thing, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah. Cool.
Is there anything stopping? So maybe Elon wants to go, anti-Doge on this, and he decides to pick Duke, and he's going to throw a ton of money at Duke, and he's going to say, I'm going to pay the equivalent of an NBA salary for every single 15 players on my team. The condition is you're staying 4 years, but I'm going to pay you like an NBA player for 4 years, and you just have to sign that you're going to stay. I see that as conceivable that could happen, right? The college players could end up being paid more than NBA players, even at the top level.
Doesn't work. It doesn't work for Cooper Flagg at that level, because the thing for that kid is accelerating the time on his rookie contract to get to his second contract, to get to his third contract, okay? And so, like, you can discount it back.
Yeah.
We won't go too deep into finance here, okay? But you can discount back
the Excel.
The 15th year of his career, and for a kid like that, that's going to be $120 million. Okay.
Well, that's assuming that what he cares about is money.
Okay.
Clearly.
Well,
all of these decisions have been money driven, right?
Right, but Cooper Flagg.
Well, now we're getting back to Econ 101.
Yeah.
Humans going to behave rationally, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I
do you think you could is Cooper Flagg going back to Duke because he had this amazing accounting class, and he's just like, wow, the professors here are incredible.
No, he's going back because he's a competitor, and there's going to be one chip he didn't get, and that's the NCAA title.
And we're still waiting for the first example of that.
Yeah, and there's a sorority down the block from his dorm, which is also pretty nice too.
We can debate that. I don't think his ability to attract a reasonable date is dependent on being in Durham, North Carolina versus being in the NBA.
Yeah, something tells me that NBA players don't have any trouble finding dates. It's interesting though. So to Duffy's point, basically the way NIL collectives work is you have alums who put money in, right, because they care about their school and they want their school to be successful. But correct me if I'm wrong, Charles. I mean, my understanding is there's no financial return on these collectives, right? The collectives.
There's actually a negative financial return because in the old system you would give to, just use an example, Duke basketball, okay? And it's a big, it's a big collective, but you would give to the school, okay? Because of rules that might get unwound.
Yeah.
That was tax deductible.
Right.
You could literally just give to a sports program and deduct
take a tax write-off. Or deduct it.
In the collective, the powers that be wised up and said, no way. This is what it is. You are basically paying kids to go play sports. So why would we let you deduct that from your income?
So are we going to see private equity and the world of financial engineering get into this and start generating profit from it?
That hadn't occurred to me. If you can walk me through how that would work, I'd be interested.
Well, you would think that, I don't know, but my guess would be maybe you raise a bunch of money and you allocate it to athletes, and those athletes then sign endorsement deals, and a portion of that revenue generated comes back to the fund or the
I think there are a lot of easier ways for private equity to lever capital and make money than that. So I'd be really surprised if that happened. But I mean, certainly the concept of, like, that's the other thing to me. I'm not an expert here at all right?
Yeah.
But in the old system, these agents circling these kids and taking kickbacks and everything from the schools or shoe companies or whatever, like, I think this system is better that way, where you don't have to go through the agent. I remember when Zach Randolph went pro.
It's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Michigan State.
And I remember having a couple friends in the sports agency industry make a comment like, they finally are going to make money on Zach. These guys started when he was like 9 years old, you know, and they were like all over him. And when he decided to go pro, they're like, oh my God, it's been, 12 years or whatever, and these guys are finally going to make some money on him.
Right.
And that was the old system. You would identify a kid and get in there with the family and ingratiate yourself, in a really insidious way, and just take advantage of these people.
Yep.
And I think this is way better because the kids are like, we don't need that.
Right.
I'm going to go, Duffy?
Oh, I didn't want to. I'm just going to cut you off. Well,
one of my favorite things, by the way, is doing that in a normal conversation. Like, someone's talking, you're like,
yeah, this isn't a video podcast, but Duffy's raising his hand every 4 seconds.
Well, that's what I have to do with Dave Levine, host Dave Levine. Sometimes I just got to give him like the flash of the 10
these Middlebury guys, you can't trust them. Okay, go ahead.
Well, friend of the podcast, Dave Deneen, was maybe going to join this for a point counterpoint. He was not able to do so, but he did send a note, which I didn't know this until he sent this note, and he could be completely factually incorrect, but he tends to be pretty good with his facts.
He's better than I am at facts.
He says that all the players that are getting these deals now actually have the agents, and they tend to be like the friend from the neighborhood. Don't have to be licensed, don't have to belong to an agent's group or anything, and they traditionally will get 20% cut of the NIL deal. And then he says in a lot of cases also this money actually doesn't get put away for the kid in any meaningful way. It pays the bills for the family, which kind of goes back to the old system. It's kind of like the old system, like we're going to take care of your family because you come from an impoverished area. We'll take care of mom. We'll get her a new car. We'll put some food on the table. And this, perhaps in some cases, there's more that goes to the athlete on the back end. But
so I've had a couple.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to reiterate that, I've had a couple coaches tell me, yes, Charles, we'll get to you. Basically, every kid has an agent now. Every Division I player almost has an agent.
In the old system, you needed the agent to get you the money under the table because how else was it going to happen? Okay? I'm not an expert here by any means. In the new system, couldn't the family just say, well, it's an open market. Why do we need an agent? At least there's an
you would think
argument for that. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but if we have the system for long enough, I think that the natural order of economics suggests that at least the family can make an argument. We don't need you because there's an auction system.
By the way, we function without a talent agent. Look at us.
Look at my fact checking. So it's interesting to see how some colleges have been aggressively courting this and ahead of the game. And some colleges, much to Charles and my chagrin, have been a little bit slower to this. And Charles, you and I have talked for many years about how Stanford has not taken advantage of NIL as much as other schools have. And this week, there was an article in the New York Times, The Athletic, which is owned by the New York Times, had an article on May 1st, actually came out. It's really interesting. I encourage everyone to read it. It's about Stanford and trying to they were discussing how Stanford's trying to once again be the best of both worlds. Because in our day, Stanford was this unique place, kind of like Duke, that had great athletics in addition to being an elite academic institution.
What's that to do with Duke?
Easy. Our Duke fans, I think we probably have 8 Duke listeners. We love you, Duke.
I'd be happy to have them on the podcast and debate this.
This article was interesting because they discussed how Stanford was very reluctant to embrace NIL. The school felt it was a distraction, didn't go along with the ethos of the school as an academic first institution. And they even discussed this article discussed some examples Charles is looking quizzically. Haley Jones, great basketball player for the women's team, won a national title in 2021 with Stanford. Signed a pretty lucrative NIL deal with an endorsement deal, with Nike. Stanford would not allow the Stanford logo to be in any of the ads, and they even photoshopped out the name Stanford from some of the images of her in the Nike commercials because Stanford did not want to be viewed as promoting this. And the result is Stanford fell behind. And so our football team is 3-9 the last couple of years, and we've had a procession of basketball players leave. And those are the two kind of most revenue generating sports, right? I know tennis is wonderful, and golf is wonderful, and volleyball is wonderful. But the bottom line is, in athletics, if you want to make money in the NCAA, it's football and men's basketball
100%.
and women's basketball.
100%.
Those are, and I love that women's basketball is now very big part of the conversation. But those are the three main revenue generating sports.
All right, this is not a fully fleshed out thought, so I'm going to ask for some leeway here. But it just occurred to me that this is a classic innovator's dilemma. All right, old system, raise hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm Stanford University. I have one of the best degrees out there. Okay, I can work with admissions and get, the kids that I really want who can do the work and it can contribute to the community, into the school. But mostly I have a big pile of money. I'm going to build the best facilities.
Yep.
And I'm going to also build a culture of winning, which builds on itself, as we know. Okay?
Of course.
That system was unbelievable for Stanford. When we were there, subsequent years, all the way, we went to the Rose Bowl in what was last year? 2016, maybe? Beat Iowa by 7 touchdowns, something like that.
Feels like ages ago. It was Christian McCaffrey era.
Christian McCaffrey was going to Stanford. Okay?
Yeah, we wouldn't get Christian McCaffrey today.
The leadership at Stanford, which has all been turned over.
Yep.
I'm just going to leave it there. That's a period. Didn't want to reinvent the system. They wanted their jobs. They wanted to do whatever they did and not disrupt anything. Mm-hmm. And after, you guys tell me what's the duration on terrible governance when it actually starts to have a real impact on outcomes, all right? And that's exactly what happened.
102 days, I think.
We weren't going to talk politics. Carry on. Duffy said that without raising his hand.
I think it's 103 days now.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
No, you're right. The old administration left, and now the new. Again, we keep talking about Stanford, but you could talk. There are a bunch of schools like this.
I think Stanford's an incredible example.
Stanford's a great example.
It's very topical, okay? Because they had the best. The title of the article: Can Stanford get back to the best of both worlds?
Yeah.
And they had it forever. I would argue Stanford did.
Yes.
And through questionable governance, just leave it there.
Yep.
They lost it, obviously. Okay, so can they get it back? Who knows? Is the new system something they should have adjusted to in 2017 or whenever? I think it was 2000. When did the law come in? 2020. I remember Caleb Williams. One of my really good friends from high school and college did an NIL deal for Caleb Williams at USC, and then helped him invest the money. And I think that was 2021. 2021. Okay. Should Stanford have pivoted immediately and said, wow, what an opportunity. Look at our resources in terms of coming up with a system that really works for us. And we can get the same caliber kid. We're just going to compete at the highest level of NIL. Yes, they absolutely should have. Did they do that? No, they didn't. Okay? And they got exactly what they deserve, in my opinion.
Yep. So it's interesting, and then we'll move on from Stanford, Duffy, I'm sorry. But so the new president who came in, Jonathan Levine, who's a Stanford grad and a business guy, and I think gets it and is a sports fan. One of the first things he did was he hired Andrew Luck, an alum, and obviously a great NFL player, to be the general manager of the football program. Basically treating it like it's a pro team. So Andrew Luck now is the GM. So he's managing the head coach, Frank Reich, reports to him. All the recruiting, it reports to him. He is the GM. And back in our day, colleges didn't have a GM. Now they're everywhere. So they're now popping up. You're seeing news every week of different colleges hiring. Usually it's ex players, alums who were pro athletes who want to, give back to the school, and it's a job. They get paid to do it. But so I'm sure we're going to see now basically every major sports program in college is going to have a general manager.
And Stanford's so fortunate to have Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
It makes all the sense in the world.
Totally.
To me. I mean, why not operate it like a... I mean, we don't have to really get into this, but Harvard has a $53 billion endowment. Okay, so is this even a university or college anymore? Or is this like some kind of sovereign wealth fund that uses the school as like a cost of acquisition to run this massive economic program? And where do sports fit into that? That's a real challenge. I don't.
Well, it's very topical, obviously now. Given so the headline about the Trump administration and Harvard and pulling money for we won't need to get into all the politics, but it's interesting because that also plays. Yeah, you have schools all across the board that have big endowments, but the endowment is earmarked for specific uses, right? So the money that the feds pulled back from Harvard was primarily used for healthcare research, right?
And infrastructure a little bit too.
Right. So sure, Harvard, you would think they've got $53 billion in their endowment. They should be okay. But it's an impact across the board. Stanford, other schools, a lot of public universities rely on federal funding to fund, and in some cases, I think it is like athletic programs that maybe aren't profitable.
But getting back to NILs, one of the interesting things about Harvard is they're losing more student athletes.
Yeah.
Okay, through the NIL and transfer portal process than almost, well, not any other school out there, but they're losing a high percent of their athletes, okay, through the portal for a school that has a $53 billion endowment.
Because they're not actively pursuing NIL.
They haven't figured it out, and they haven't converted the alumni to say, hey, we know you're giving to the endowment, but actually what we need is this, if that's what they want to do. So it's obviously their decision in terms of what they want to do, but it's been interesting to see a talent drain from Harvard for a school with those kinds of resources. But it's the same with Stanford. It's not. Yeah. You look at the football transfer portals or the transfers or the basketball transfers. It's been a lot at Stanford, and also have a massive endowment. I don't know how big it is. I think it's in the mid-40s, something like that.
Very big.
I want to address another criticism of NIL, and that is even more so than before, the athlete becoming greater than the team, no more we greater than me, and encouraging the diva culture in our athletes, where if they get a little adversity, they're out. And so that may be a realistic way to view the top 2% of college athletes. But one of the things I'm concerned about is that this whole ethos is now going to trickle down. It's going to trickle down to high school, and then it's going to trickle down potentially even to grade school, and then who knows? And is it a possibility that the way this is evolving, that high school sports will go the way of college, and you will have a lot more of these athletic schools, the prolific preps, the IMGs, and the athletes will no longer really look at high school, as a place to show their best?
I think it's already happening. It's been happening in tennis for a while, college tennis, where we talked about this, but the kid that used to go to Stanford for 4 years, he was number one in the country. They were the number when we were there.
Yeah.
Both the men's and women's side. They're 13 years old and 14 years old, and USC says, all right, you're already in the school. Stop going to school. Stop going to high school. Not just USC, other schools. Okay.
We love you, USC.
And stop going to school. All right. Just go play tennis, take some online classes. You're already into our school. If it works out that you're going to go pro, fine, but you're in the school. So just commit to us now. Forget high school and move on.
So it happens in Canada for hockey players. It happens in Europe for soccer players, right?
If a kid in high school is good enough to have a professional career, is that kid really going to be part of what is that kid going to miss by not just pursuing that? It's almost like going to trade school or something when you're at a really young age, if that's what you really want to do.
What about these other ones? So like in college now, we have whole teams turning over, like 8 players. Like you're going to trade out your top 8 players. Out of those top 8, like maybe 1, maybe 2 are actually going to the pros. But these are on the college level. They are now paid athletes in the interest of the college. Is that potentially going to happen in high school, where it's not just the 2%, it's maybe the 20%, especially with private high schools that want to sort of burnish their names?
So this is I did, Duffy. Unlike my earlier, I did I burned a few calories researching this.
Okay, all right.
And that I went to Google Gemini. NIL in high school, Charles. 43 out of 50 states permit NIL in high schools.
Great.
Now, California was the first state, 2021, and actually Gavin Newsom was an early champion of it. I've heard him since mention that.
Good for him.
He's a little bit concerned about the beast he created, but you and Gavin can debate that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there are restrictions though. So you can't use your school name or logo. So individuals can have NIL. High school students can now generate revenue, but it's got to be outside of promoting their school.
Isn't this already happening outside of NILs in high school? Can we use a local example?
Please.
I don't know.
This is a local podcast.
Try us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love TT.
Samitri Carr. Yes.
Yes. Great friend of my son Chase.
Yes.
Been to our house. Love the kid.
Yeah.
Left Branson, junior year. I don't think he got NIL money. Went to Prolific. Didn't work out.
No, Reardon.
Well, he started Prolific.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right.
Who's the Marin basketball expert here?
You're clearly. My shooting percentage today is really.
You're about to foul out. You are definitely about to foul out.
Go ahead, Charles. Continue.
Sorry, I'm just the one with the facts that are right. Yeah. Goes to Prolific, goes to Reardon, ends up at Redwood.
Yep.
So he's moving around without NILs. There are lots of examples of this, right? The kids are going to go where it makes sense for them. That's what you do in a free country. I could be wrong. I don't see any issues there.
So the high school rules, as a reminder, if you transfer, you need to sit out basically half the year.
Why do we have that rule? It's an arbitrary rule that doesn't make sense to me in this society.
Talk to your friend Gavin Newsom. I don't know. I know. That might be antiquated rule. Definitely in the new paradigm here. Maybe that's something that will go away. But the rule for everybody is, so let's say basketball season starts on November 1st and the last regular season game is February 20th. You figure out how many days is that? A transfer has to sit out half plus 1 day. And it usually works out to those kids can start playing kind of late December. So they miss basically, they can practice, but they can't play in games.
I know. Okay, so just to get back to NILs.
Yeah.
Any system that obviates antiquated rules made by, no offense, bureaucrats.
Yep.
Okay? Not you, Gavin. Like bureaucrats.
Yep.
All right. Is healthy to me. That's the center point of my argument right there.
Yeah.
That for way too long, the NCAA had so much power over everything. All right, and that created a system of antiquated rules that made no sense.
Yep.
Arbitrary and antiquated. Yes.
Quick note. So, because I saw something about this recently, the CIF is considering a change to that sit-out rule where you get 1 free transfer for 4 years of high school.
Why can't you just go where you want to go? Someone explain this to me.
I would be a big fan of that.
What if you don't like the kids in your school and you want to go somewhere else? Why are we legislating this? I don't understand it.
Yeah, the hard part. So, I'm a high school coach. It would be hard to have to every year re-recruit your roster. That's the challenge. But you know what? It is what it is. and it should be what's best for the players.
Would you rather have a kid that doesn't want to be there because there's a transfer rule?
No, of course not. Yeah, you want kids who are bought in, but it's a different mindset. Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to think back to my own high school career, and we were at Marin Academy, not the most storied program, high school program in Marin County or otherwise, but we were okay my junior year, and then there were 5 of us that decided we were going to go work out every day in the summer together and become better players individually and as a team. And we were really good our senior year. And that it directly correlates. I think if you have a culture where after every season everyone looks at their own role and be like, maybe I'll get like a little bit more love from the coach over here, and everyone takes a little while to decide, that it discourages that. And to me, that was a huge.
If you have an arbitrary rule that prevents, you had a great group, you're lucky, okay? That's awesome. What if that group of 5, 2 of those kids didn't want to be there? Would they have been in the summer with you, like working out every day, trying to get better, and they didn't want to be at Marin Academy? Like, they wouldn't. They'd be like, I don't even want to be here. The only reason I'm here is because there's a transfer rule. So why am I going to work out with Duffy when I can do something else?
It's a strength shoe workout.
Certainly was not a strength shoe. Those were awesome.
Right.
Loved going to get Phyllis's Giant Burgers wearing my strength shoes. Those were cool.
Made you look taller.
All right, Charles, I did not preview this question for you, but I'm going to ask it. And Duffy, interested in your perspective as well.
Sorry, you didn't preview any of the questions.
I know, but this one I just thought of, so I didn't even preview it with myself. Do you envision a time in the near future where high school athletics don't even exist anymore and it's all club? Because basically what we're talking about...
No, I don't.
It's conceivable that... So you take a player like TT.
Can I expound on that?
Please.
The way that will work to me is what we're seeing is a decoupling from the high school athletes that are appropriate for club and the high school athletes that are not. And so I could see a two-tiered system developing, which is probably actually inevitable the more I think about it, right? Because that's the way the world works. Like you separate the kids that are. This is already happening.
So Cooper Flag. So let's look at Cooper Flag. So Cooper Flag, because I feel like we talk about TT.
But hold on a second. So I understand your question. You're saying there are no more high school athletics, or Branson doesn't have a lacrosse team with like 10 kids on it that loses everybody, but it's still fun for the kids.
So for certain sports, maybe. I mean, the best players.
Why?
Well, the best players will just go play club. So the best Cooper Flag.
Okay, so the best players play club, and the other kids play. It's just like the NCAA.
That's what's going to happen.
And the rest of the kids who are the kids who just are out there.
The Dave Levines.
No, like I have 3 kids. Our youngest is a really good athlete, and he doesn't really connect to all the competition as much as the other 2 did. And so it's awesome. He goes and he plays, and he's good at his sports, and he plays with his friends, and he has a great time, and that's great for him. And there's always going to be a big market for those kids in high school athletics because, I'm sure you guys would agree with me. Like playing high school tennis, not so much, but playing high school basketball, was like an incredibly social, positive experience for all of us.
Well, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Is I want the product on the floor or on the field for high schools to be great. So how do you
define great?
It would be fun if the best players played for their high school and didn't do what Cooper Flag did, which, Cooper Flag, great player, amazing, but he grew up in Maine, and then in high school he went to, Montverde Academy, where's that, in Florida? And basically his high school life was at the sports academy. It's what, kids still do it, right? They go to IMG or these other...
I think what's wrong with that? That's totally appropriate to me. He's in the 0.001% of high school kids. Right?
So where is that?
Let me ask a different question.
Where's that line?
Let me ask a different question.
Yeah.
Let's say a kid is the best violinist in the world. Do you want that kid on a team of 12 violinists? like in high school, playing concerts together, concertos or whatever? Like, is that what you want?
So there's the rarefied air, but then there's the other like really good players who are kind of cuspy, right? Those are the ones where I would love for them to
Okay.
do both. Play club basketball, absolutely. I mean, look, we've got amazing club sports in Marin.
Can't we just define cuspy by the kids that can go play club and theoretically get paid in some universe that you guys are envisioning that I'm not? But like, that's fair. That to me is a definition of cuspy. Like the kids that should be playing on a team with their friends and getting a lot of social positive experiences out of it will always be there. And actually, in some ways, honestly, the more I think about it, is even healthier because there isn't this weird dynamic where there's this one kid who's like so good, you know, and like the rest of the kids aren't that good. Why is that great?
Yeah.
Actually, Dave, this is not my podcast, okay?
Not
throw it
yet,
back at you.
but
Not
you're
yet,
working
but
up.
This is a
Duffy's ready
great
to
question.
Swap me out for you.
You had a great question. This is a great question for you, okay? You coached Carly Nelson.
Carly Amborn.
Carly Amborn, sorry. Hi, Pam Nelson.
Mom's name is Pam Nelson. It's okay.
Hi, Pam. Nice to see you. Or nice to talk to you. You coached Carly.
Yes.
Okay? She was a lot better than the rest of the kids on the team. Okay? So my question is, I don't have an opinion here. I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
Would the experience for the kids have been better with Carly, without Carly, without making any judgment on any people? Like, what's better for those kids? By the way, I didn't preview this question for Dave.
No, you did not. I mean, look, I'm grateful that the kids on my team had the chance to play with Carly.
Okay.
But it's a totally fair question. And Carly's a great example. And I think about kids like Jace and TT, and there are some, volleyball players, right? Like Tusher and the kids the girls at Branson, who are like elite Division I, high-level Division I athletes, right? In 5 years, are all those kids, are the Carlys and the Jaces and the TTs, are they just not going to play for their high school, and are they just going to play club?
So
I guess that's the question.
I would take it in a different direction. To me, that's not a disaster.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. That's fair.
I have no idea if it's better or worse.
It's
just not. It's not catastrophic to me at all. It's like, okay, well, it's
because I think it's
a natural way of the world.
It could be where we're going.
You said I'd get a chance to chime in on this high school NIL question.
I will give you a chance.
Okay, thank you. My chance is now. So just to clarify, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, Dave. The difference between high school and college is that in college, you can have NIL and it's associated with the school because the NCAA has allowed it because they got sued and they have to allow it, right? And it's a national entity. And so school and player can put on their jersey and go to the local car dealer and cut a deal with them, and it's okay.
Exactly.
In high school, that's not the case, and it's legislated on a statewide basis. So out of 50 states, 43 have NIL, but of the 43 that do, they have completely different rules, and they do not allow the uniform to be worn. So the high school, the Archie Williams Falcon, they could not go and put on a jersey and go be a spokesperson for the local auto dealer.
But Measy Butler could go promote the hub himself.
Yes.
Not as a member of Archie Williams,
right.
but just himself, right?
But, so for example, if there is a girl who plays on the boys football team and throws a couple touchdowns, I think this is a true story, I don't know, I forget her name, then that player is kind of like, oh, well, that's a media opportunity. They can go do an NIL deal because she's like a story, right? But that's how it happens in high school currently.
Yep.
However, if there were enough money to come together in collectives, for the high school level to fund club teams to do exactly at the club level what's being done at the NCAA level, I could see most of the good athletes in certain sports, not all sports, but the same ones you mentioned, football, boys basketball, girls basketball, maybe, just completely going to club. And other sports, volleyball probably stays on the school level. Maybe not, I don't know, things will change.
Yeah.
So I can see a future where the varsity team of a high school is all playing for a club team. It may not be the same club team. It's probably a bunch of different club teams. And then what would have been their JV or players who would have been otherwise cut are now playing as the varsity for the high school, which may not be the worst, future.
Yeah.
But the quality of your high school basketball is going to be coming down.
And that's so going back to where we started. Charles, your overall view, which you shared with us before, and you've done a great job of articulating today, is that college athletics, kind of going forward, the players who are good enough to get paid, essentially are pro athletes now.
Always have been.
Always have been, but now it's above the table. The sunlight is the best disinfectant. We see it all.
It's transparent.
It's transparent.
They can pay taxes.
So there you go. And then college athletics, college teams
I didn't say that.
are truly going to be student athletes who are, many of them very good players, but the elite are going pro or are moving team to team, and then you'll have this base level of just the traditional student athlete. And that's what college athletics are going to be.
I mean, I don't know that I'm making like a really like point specific forecast as to what's going to happen, as much as I think the system you just described, where the best players get paid and it's transparent, okay, is really healthy. And if that means that players move around more than they used to, I think that's just fine.
Yeah.
Like we just, again, I'll just say it again. Like Paul Pierce, I think was a 3 or 4 year guy at Kansas. Could be wrong about that. But Duncan's the best example, right?
Yeah.
He's the last of the guys that did that. And that was in 1997. So at least now, we're being honest about it. The players are getting compensated for their skills, which is totally appropriate. Men, women, everything, great. And the system works a little bit better than it used to. We're getting closer.
So there's a new development now. So we've spent all this time talking about NIL, and what's likely going to happen, right, is that NIL is actually going to go away. So the concept will stay. We're going to have athletes will still get compensated.
We have another iteration coming.
There's another iteration coming, right? So there was a new settlement that occurred recently that permits revenue sharing. So now colleges can share up to, I think it's 22% of their annual revenue with student athletes. Now, how they allocate that is, I assume, up to the school, but there might be, I don't know if you know this, like there might be Title IX implications to this,
I would
right?
imagine there would be, right?
Which
I think
Title IX, as a reminder, is just ensures that there's parity amongst male sports and female sports, right? But so the revenue sharing, that's separate from NIL. So NIL, you have these collectives outside of the school that raise money and allocate it. Revenue sharing is revenues that come into the school through ticket sales or other means, and now they can share that revenue with the players, right, with the athletes.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
I don't really have, honestly, any specific thoughts on that.
Makes sense, right?
I think that
what might level the playing field, with, I don't know, I haven't read enough about it.
I think there's some health in the concept of the collective to me works really well because of the community aspect of it that we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to lose any of that. I think that's a really healthy thing that people can choose, how they want to invest in their own groups and everything else and do it in a really social way that has benefits to everyone in the ecosystem. That's really healthy. And anything that's arbitrary that messes around with something that's that simple and obvious, I would just really think would be a negative. I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
When we go offline, I'll be happy to tell you
Diplomatic
my real
answer
thoughts.
from Charles.
Can I get the last word?
Is it the first diplomatic answer you've ever
Duffy, I
given?
always let you get the last word.
Are we doing crunch time?
We are. I was
Okay,
literally
right.
putting
the
together
last
stuff.
word before crunch time.
Okay.
All right. There's no I in team, but there is an
M and an E.
I and D-I-V-A.
Diva. All right. I instantly regret giving Duffy the last word. Okay, Charles, truncated crunch time. You ready?
I don't know what that
You
is.
don't even listen to our podcast. We at the end, we do rapid fire questions.
What's your favorite tequila, Chuck?
Yeah, there you go.
Charles.
Got some Cascanes today. Charles, favorite gym in Marin?
My home gym.
Favorite basketball gym in Marin?
Archie Williams' softest rims in Marin. Also, in high school, had one end of the gym, okay, with a rim that was a little low.
Oh.
And so every time we wanted to go see if we could dunk a volleyball,
Yeah.
and it happened for me one time, I will always have a special place in my heart for Archie Williams.
So wait a minute, you dunked a volleyball at Archie Williams' gym?
One time.
Were there any witnesses?
The volleyball.
Hans Keeling, he's in Brazil.
Yeah, Hans, not a listener of the pod. Love you, Hans. Okay.
Well, those might be mutually exclusive.
Favorite or best tennis player you've ever played against?
I'll never forget it. Can I give two?
Yes.
Okay. Freshman year, my coach, I think, was trying to drive me off the Stanford tennis team. And so every time we played sets, he put me against Jeff Salzenstein, who was a lefty with a massive serve, massive forehand, got to, 70 in the world or something. It was just a great player. And I'm sitting on the side of the court thinking, as a freshman, I'm like, I used to be a pretty good tennis player, but now I don't know if I can win a point against this guy.
Yeah.
So that's one. I played this guy, Ronald Ajner, one time, who I think got to maybe 20 in the world at a time when, now I'm a senior in
Where did he go?
college. He's from Haiti, so he didn't go to college.
Okay.
And I won a couple big matches for me. This is a much lower level than that, in a semi-pro tournament in like Walnut Creek or something like that. And because I won a couple of those matches, college tennis coach comes out to watch me play Ronald Ajner, and I'm like, I'm feeling great, like senior year, whatever. And I go and play this guy, and I was like, in the warm-up, I was like, I don't know if I can hold my serve against this guy. It was just a totally different level,
Yeah.
The ball was so heavy, it was coming over my head. I was like, left and right. I was like, all right, I'm probably not going to be a pro tennis player. Moving on.
Did you win any points?
Yeah, I held my serve maybe 4 times, and I thought that was just like a huge, like losing 2-2 to that guy. That's when it's a different level. When you lose 2-2, and you're like, that was awesome. Played great.
So I was baiting you into this, but you didn't say it. But can you briefly tell your Anna Kournikova story?
Well, I have to tell it briefly. It was incredible.
Everybody who's over the age of 40 and male was like, go on.
I got a call. I was working in San Francisco. I got a call from my friend Aleko Priovalis, who's like, hey, you sitting down? I'm like, well, I'm working, yes. This is before you stand up at work.
Before the standing desk. Yeah.
And, he's like, Anna Kournikova is looking for a hitting partner for the Bank of the West tournament.
Yeah, at Stanford.
At Stanford. He's like, do you think you can get out of work to go do that? It's like I'm walking out the door. And so that was, maybe 5 days. There were a few highlights. She was really, really good. Like, she is so good. So it was really a challenge because I was working this time. I wasn't like playing tennis all the time.
Yeah.
I really had to like go to bed early, like do push-ups the night before, and like gear up for it. I think I even asked one of my buddies to warm me up before I was going to warm her up.
Right. Totally.
I was trying to prepare.
So for our younger listeners, Anna Kournikova was a elite pro tennis player, also world famous, one of the most attractive women in the history of the earth.
I have 4 bullet points. Number 1, Anna Kournikova in person was everything you could imagine. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, we're playing at the West Tennis Courts at Stanford. Okay, and there are a bunch of like graduate students in the summer kind of walking around, And this is in 2000?
Yeah.
And this is pre like iPhone, okay? So people have flip phones or whatever, and there isn't even texting. And I was hitting with her, and I was doing pretty well, and you look over, and there'd be people walking by the court, and they would do a triple take, all right?
Yeah.
And they'd pull up their flip phones and start calling all their friends, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
there'd be like hordes of people descending on this court to watch me play tennis. And, like Anna was like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, why are they, why
Sure, they're watching you, Charles.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously.
Obvious.
Number 3, she was dating Fedorov at the time.
Yep. Sergei Fedorov, NHL player.
So
Detroit Red Wings.
one of the greats.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. I mean,
Yeah.
And
Avid listener of our podcast, I'm sure.
you go, and I'm like, all right, I'll go to Anna's box or whatever and watch the match, and you're there with Sergey, like 10 guys in trench coats in 95-degree weather at Stanford. All right, this is a different paradigm. And then number 4, my favorite is her dad walked around the practice court picking up every single tennis ball, and literally one time accused me of stealing his tennis balls. That actually happened.
Wow.
And that was it.
He was selling the tennis balls?
No, he didn't want me to take his tennis balls. They were his balls. It's like, I mean, she's
Slightly deflated or something?
Stop taking your tennis balls, Charles.
Deflategate.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I
Favorite Marin restaurant?
got. The former Don Antonio.
Oh, Don Antonio. Larkspur.
I like Poggio, like fish. We talked about it. I really love fish.
Fish is great. Sausalito.
Yeah.
Good spot. Sponsor us, Fish. Okay, Duffy, do you have anything else? I will let you have the last word.
I had the mic drop earlier, Dave. There's going to be a lot of player control on this episode. I feel like we're going to be...
A lot of my player control. I had a bunch of fouls. I was like Draymond today. Just picking up fouls.
Did you kick Steven Adams in the groin?
No. This is 2025. That's so...
Draymond groin?
Draymond groin. Charles, thank you for your time. Thank you for your thoughts. I thought very interesting conversation.
And you're partially right, but you're mostly wrong.
Duffy, always adding value. Duffy's raising his hand.
My hand's up.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you,
Good job.
Charles.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey dude, you too must be from Marin."